oh my, how the weather has changed in the last 24 hours. This time last night, we were at 85 degrees. Tonight, we're more at 55 degrees. Game 2 of this weekend series between the Cubs and the Reds. And the Reds looking to even this set at 1 game apiece with a victory here tonight. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Aaron Harang started the year quite poorly. Some wondered whether or not, Chris, he might be headed to the bullpen. But the last couple of starts, starting to look like the Aaron Harang we saw a couple of years ago.
It's easy to get into an April funk. You come out of spring training, things are different. He revamped his whole delivery over the wintertime, so you got to give him a little break and in period. But his last couple of times out against the Astros, guys like Lance Berkman and Carlos Lee, he did a very good job in that ball game. That was a quality start for Aaron Harang. Had the breaking ball working, and he did the same thing against the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, he was outpitched in that ball game by Chris Carpenter, but he threw the ball very well, so you're seeing signs of Aaron Harang regaining that form in which he went back-to-back 16-win years.
All right, his pitching matchup tonight will be Aaron Harang against Tom Gorzolani. The Reds saw a lot of him as a Pirate.
Well, I'll tell you what, this guy has really owned the Reds, too. If you look at it, this is the challenge that Aaron Harang has in front of him. The Reds average tonight, the team that is on the field in the lineup, batting 166 collectively against Gorzolani. All he is a little left-hander, changes speeds on the outside corner, and has a nice slider. Aaron Harang, on the other hand, has been beaten around pretty good by the Cubs. There are no secrets from Aaron Harang and the Cubs. They've seen him so much. He's got to be on top of his game in this ballpark, keeping the ball down.
So the Reds with a win tonight, as we mentioned, with even this series at a game apiece, and would get back to the 500 mark before wrapping up this homestand at Great American Ballpark tomorrow. Last night it was Ramon Hernandez. Tonight it's Ryan Hannigan. We'll talk about the Reds catchers in a moment. Telecast on Fox Sports Ohio, presented in beautiful high-definition television, courtesy of H.H. Gregg. Well, welcome back to Great American Ballpark, about 5 minutes away from the first pitch, Game 2 of this series. And for more on our weather tonight, let's check in with Jeff Creighton.
Thanks a lot. The buzzword for tonight's game, cool. You're definitely going to want a jacket or sweater. 57 by the first pitch. 7th inning, 52 by that final out. 50. Hope you can stay warm down at Great American Ballpark. Play ball.
Well, you're right about that, Jeffrey. Thank you very much. We know Ryan Hannigan's going to probably stay pretty warm tonight. He's in a starting lineup back behind the plate. And Hannigan of late, Mr. Welsh, seeing more and more playing time.
Well, you know, some of these numbers are worth looking at, and some of them that you really don't care about much at all. The batting average for Ryan Hannigan, he changed his style. He is off to a tremendous start. Ramon Hernandez has gotten on base an awful lot. So from an offensive standpoint, both these catchers have done a great job. Catchers earned run average, let's just forget about that right now, because that really doesn't mean a whole lot, especially at this point in the season, because look what happened last night. Homer Bailey blew up, and it goes on the catcher's ERA of Ramon Hernandez. Not very happy about that. But one area which you really can see something clear here is Ryan Hannigan is one of the better catch-and-throw catchers in the entire league. And as long as he continues to hit, he'll share a lot of playing time. And the catching duo overall for the Reds, certainly they're off to a positive start this year.
Saturday night at the old ballpark. Aaron Harang getting together with Tom Borzolati. Reds and the Cubs are next. The best-selling trucks, 33 straight years. By Just for Men, for mustache and beard, keep your edge. And by Skyline Chili, you know it's Skyline time when you get that craving for a Skyline three-way or cheese conies. Under mostly cloudy skies at Great American Ballpark, the Reds have taken the field moments ago. Local talk show host Bill Cunningham throwing out the ceremonial first pitch. Boy, that was pretty impressive to his battery mate, Bill Seg Dennison. Willie, a former outstanding athlete growing up and attending Deer Park High School, one of the city's all-time great high school basketball players, Bill Cunningham.
He quit on his team in fantasy camp, Tom. I wouldn't let him back on the field.
Lou Piniella starting lineup has Ryan Theriot at second, Kosuke Fukudome at right, Derek Lee at first. Marlon Byrd, the cleanup hitter in center, Aramis Ramirez at third, Alfonso Soriano swinging a hot bat at left. A latter third of Giovanni Soto. Starlin Castro with a big-time debut here last night, and Tom Borzolani on the mound against right-hander Aaron Harang. Tomorrow will turn 32 years young.
Well, look for Aaron Harang to have a little better zip on the fastball instead of 90, 91, maybe 93, 94 tonight. That will make a difference for him. He's always has good control and no secrets because these Cubs have seen him an awful lot. In fact, two of the Cubs batters, Derek Lee and Aramis Ramirez, nearly 60 at-bat appearances against Aaron Harang in their careers. Overall, Aaron looking for another win, 1-4 right now.
So a ball one away to Ryan Theriot. We're underway at Great American Ballpark, and back with a fastball on the outside corner, and the count is even. In his career, we mentioned a lot of these Cubs have good numbers against Harang, but the bottom line is Harang has beaten the Cubs more than they have beaten him. He is 9-8 against him in his career with an ERA right at 4.5. And has already pitched one of his better games of the season this year against him. That was that opening weekend when he went 7 innings, allowed 4 hits and 3 runs. He did not walk a batter and struck out 7. The game the Reds wound up losing 4-3. But Harang pitched very well in that game against Carlos Zambrano. 2-2 to Ryan Theriot, and he has gone on strikes. Good fastball on the outside corner at 93 miles per hour. The Reds defensively presented by Ford. Doan, Stubbs, Bruce, left, center, and right. Scott Rowland, Joey Votto on the corners, Orlando Cabrera, and Brandon Phillips up the middle. We mentioned a battery tonight of Harang and Hennigan. So one gone for Kosuke Fukudome, a .329 batter. 5 home runs, 18 driven in for Fukudome. Strike one. Jerry Lane calls the balls and strikes. He's the crew chief. Sam Holbrook, the umpire, at first. Mike Winters at second. Brian Runge at third. Harang challenging Cub hitters early on with fastballs, 0-2.
And not only just challenging him by throwing it down the middle, he's hitting his spots. Hitting that glove side of the plate for him, that's the first base side of home plate. Tough place for a right-hander to get consistently. If he can do that, he ought to have a good game.
Fastball outer edge and apparently just off of it. Cubs had 15 hits, scored 14 runs in a game last night. Fukudome was on base 4 times. 2-2 to count. Well, they called that strike 3 on the part. You got it.
Well, the pitch previous to this must have been just off the black. And, you know, Jerry Lane is going to give a hitter maybe one time to take a look at that. Next time, if you don't like going up there hacking, we're going to ring you up right on the black. Despite our Fox Tracks looks, which showed it was a couple of centimeters off.
So back-to-back strikeouts for Aaron Harang to begin the first inning, and now it's Derek Lee. And he looks at a first pitch breaking ball outside. There are not many Cub hitters up and down this lineup struggling offensively, but Lee and Aramis Ramirez are the 2 big ones, even though you wouldn't know it watching Lee here last night. Seemingly every time Derek comes into Cincinnati, if he's red hot, he stays hot. If he's cold, he gets hot. He had 2 hits, drew 2 walks, scored 3 runs. Harang ahead of Derek Lee and 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Boy, he's ahead of everybody. Not taking a lot of time between pitches. He is pitching with a purpose.
Pretty good first inning right there. Fastball right down the can at 93, and Harang fans the side to begin the night. red, has won 70 games, logging nearly 1,300 innings and striking out almost 1,100 batters.
Let me drop a name on you. Brad Coleman. Remember Brad Coleman, Leland Maddox? They were the interim general managers after Jim Bowden got the boot. They took over on a part-time basis and did a full-time trade with the Oakland Athletics to pick up Aaron Harang, who from the Athletics at that time had an excess of starting pitching. That's when they had Mulder and Zito and Hudson and so on, and they didn't need Aaron Harang, and they sent him over to the Reds, and little by little he's become a pretty good pitcher.
Left-hander Tom Gorzolani in his first year as a Chicago Cub after coming over the middle of last year from the Pittsburgh Pirates. And again, it's Orlando Cabrera leading off tonight. He looks at ball one.
Well, not a lot to Gorzolani, except he knows what he's doing. Fastballs away, sliders in. He changes speeds, tries to keep you off balance that way. And he's very good about keeping the ball in the ballpark. Has given up only one home run this year.
That one into center field and a leadoff single for Orlando Cabrera. Take a look at the Reds lineup tonight under the skipper Dusty Baker. Brandon Phillips coming up. Joey Votto batting third. Scott Rowland, the cleanup hitter at third base. Johnny Gomes in left with Jay Bruce in right. A ladder third of Drew Stubbs, Ryan Hannigan, and Aaron Harang. So Cabrera batting leadoff as a Red for the first time last night. Had 2 hits and 5 at bats. And a single to start things here tonight, and now it's Brandon Phillips. Brandon, a .248 hitter, has 4 home runs, 11 runs batted in. Into center field, but it hangs up long enough for Marlon Byrd.
Tom Gorzolani, the left-hander's had 5 starts on the year. 4 of them have been quality starts. One start he was taken out after 3 innings. And not a high strikeout pitcher normally, but this year he's got nearly 1 per inning. And as I said, keeping the ball in the ballpark, which is big for him. It's all about control for this type of left-hander, and quite frankly, the Reds have struggled with Gorzolani in particular, and also left-handers that pitch his style. Here you go back to guys like Pat Mahalam, Wade LeBlanc from the San Diego Padres. Those pitchers have, and Oliver Perez have given the Reds problems so far this year, hitting that outside corner and changing speeds.
0-1 to Joey Votto. Cabrera at first with 1 out. We're in the bottom of the first inning. And there's a high fly ball in a straightaway center field. Bird at the wall, and it is gone. Home run number 6 for Joey Votto. And the Reds jump on Gorzolani in the opening inning to a 2-0 lead.
Joey Votto is a very exceptional left-handed hitter, and one of the things that really separates him from a lot of the rest of the pack is the fact that he hits left-handers so well. He's got a lifetime batting average over 300. So he hangs right in there on that Gorzolani pitch, and he puts his ball club up by 2.
Ball 1 to Scott Rowland. Votto comes into this game red hot. A 6-game hitting streak, which now is extended to 7. He has 12 hits in his last 25 at bats.
I mean, the guy holds himself to such a high standard, too. You stand around the batting cage during BP for Joey Votto, and if he mishits a ball, just hits a lazy fly ball to center field, you can hear him muttering, "Come on, get on top of it. Swing the bat right." You know, trying to talk to himself, getting himself fired up in batting practice. Most guys kind of go through there and they get their little work in, then they get out. But Votto takes it as seriously as anybody I've ever seen.
After the home run by Votto, Gorzolani has fallen behind Scott Rowland 3 balls and a strike. And now it runs to 3-2.
And one more thing on that Joey Votto home run. That's got to feel exceptionally satisfying to Joey, because coming into this ball game, he had only had 1 hit and 9 at-bats previous against Gorzolani. So he gets that little monkey off his back.
Check swing on a pitch down and in. They appeal, and ringing up Scott Rowland is Sam Holbrook. 2 away in the inning. That's the first strikeout tonight by Gorzolani. The Cubs on defense are brought to you by Ford. Bird in center, flanked by Soriano and Fucadome. Castro and Terrio up the middle. Ramirez and Lee on the corners, with Gorzolani and Soto the battery. Now Johnny Gomes, 240 hitter, 3 home runs, 15 batted in. Big swing and a miss by Gomes. Little fastball up and in, and he swung right through it. It's 0-2.
Now, that's nothing new for Johnny Gomes and Tom Gorzolani. Check this number out down here. 0 for 9 with 4 strikeouts. Lefty versus righty matchup. And you know that's got to get Gomes extra motivated. I mean, he knows, he may not know it's 0 for 9, but he certainly knows he's struggled, may not realize he's never gotten a hit. He would like to hit one all the way to Mount Adams.
That'd be a little bit foul.
Would be. How about New Richmond?
I don't know if the river tails up a little bit east when you get there. That might be about right. New Richmond might be right.
I'm not really strongly believing your geographical knowledge anyway. Although you do know where Mount Adams is.
You can mark that down. There's the base hit in the left center field. I might not be able to find my house, but I can find Mount Adams.
Well, he got the monkey off his back. 0 for 9, make it 1 for 10. Johnny Gomes, a little more of a controlled swing right here. He gets 2 strikes on him. He's going to go down and make contact with that ball, even though it was down and out of the zone. Good bit of hitting there for Johnny Gomes.
Well, I am stunned you would question my geography when it comes to, the greater Cincinnati area. New Richmond does, in fact, run northeast of Cincinnati, because the river, obviously going against the grain of the river, the flow of the river runs northeast.
I believe you.
Breaking ball in there to Jay Bruce. Just like I would never question your knowledge of the Commonwealth.
I've got a little.
0-2 the count on Jay Bruce.
Or he'd like to hit one. Jay Bruce. Straight away towards Newport. Drop one on the levee, huh?
Two on Jay Bruce, and that one a bouncer, a diving play by Ramirez, throws from his knees, and Jay beat it out. Hustling all the way, Jay Bruce, and that's an infield hit. 4 hits already for the Reds here in the first inning against Gorzolani.
God, you gotta love Jay Bruce's approach right here. He just tightens it up with 2 strikes. They've got the shift on him, and Ramirez playing way over across from almost in the shortstop zone. He makes a nice play to grab it, tries to throw Bruce out from his knees, but Jay's got deceptive speed, and he just beats that throw to first base and keeps the rally alive. That's the way you hustle.
Bruce Stubbs, a 175 batter, a couple of home runs, and 8 runs batted in. Stubbs had a single in the 9th inning last night to break an 0 for 15 slide. So he'd like to build on that, his first at bat the very next night. Strike 1. So nice play right there by the Cub catcher Giovanni Soto, preventing a pair of runs. Runners in scoring position. 1-2. Two in, 2 on, 2 out. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count on Drew Stubbs. And Gorzolani to the plate, and right down the middle, a fastball is strike 3. But the Reds off and running, get a 2-run home run from Joey. And a 2-0 lead at the end of 1. Although we didn't have many April showers, there indeed are May flowers right now for Mr. Votto at the plate. Strike 1 to Marlon Byrd. Aaron Harang begins the 2nd inning with a 2-0 lead. Aaron fanned the side in the 1st inning. That's the 7th time in his career he has struck out the side. The first time he's done it since June of 08 against the Pirates. So a very good start tonight for Aaron Harang. 1-1 to Marlon Byrd, and that is strike 2.
You know, if you watch Aaron from a pitching standpoint, look how he really stays balanced, and when he gets his leg high at the very top of his balance point, he's strong over the rubber. Not floating towards home, not drifting at all. He's just staying back, using those big legs of his to drive himself right to the plate.
That ball right by Joey Votto at first, and Jay Bruce over to cut it off. A leadoff single from Marlon Byrd here in the Cubs' 2nd.
You know, sometimes when a hitter hits the ball opposite like that, he hits it so late, and it comes off the bat almost as a surprise. So, you know, those third basemen and first basemen that get that sometimes are surprised by it. And that ball looked like it went right over his head before he had a chance to react.
Aramis Ramirez, a 153 batter. First pitch at the belt, a strike. 3 home runs and 15 runs batted in for Ramirez, who in 6 of the last 9 years has knocked in 100 or more runs. One on Aramis Ramirez. Byrd a very short lead at first, and there's a swing and a miss on a fastball up and in from Aaron Harang.
Now we're talking about Aaron Harang's delivery. Watch how he stays strong. That's more of a slide step right there, but big, long stride compared to what he was last year. That's almost twice as long as he threw last year. He was a stand-up dart thrower at this time last season. Now he's using his back and legs to drive the ball, and he's getting more velocity out of it. And tonight, better location, too.
That one in the dirt and easily advancing on the wild pitches Bird into scoring position. Ball fouled away, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, I had a chance to visit with Aaron Harang during our CBTS Tech Talk session in Goodyear. He told me how he worked on his stride all winter long, and he shared this with me.
I think the biggest point is once I get loaded and up in my balance point, I kind of drop down. You know, they say the drop and drive. And it's not over-exaggerated, it's very minor, but you know, then I really focus on, you know, stretching out, but with my hip flexors and stuff being looser and, you know, working on my flexibility more, it makes it easier for me to stride out longer and really get a good drive to the plate.
And, of course, when you stride out longer, you're closer to home plate when you release the ball, which gives the hitter less time to react. And when you're 6 feet 8 inches tall like Aaron Harang, you might as well use that height and the length of your legs to get closer to home plate.
Marlon Byrd, the runner at second. Nobody out. 2-2 on Aramis Ramirez. And Harang to the plate and try to breaking ball again.
Yeah, he's not had the good grip on the breaking ball, at least not the good release point yet. Sometimes you battle with that for a little while. You might have in the bullpen warming up. You take them out and it's not there. So you stay stubborn with it. But on a 3-2 count, after missing with a couple of breaking balls, I think Ramirez probably looking heater. We'll see if Aaron Harang is going to challenge him with it.
Three balls and 2 strikes on Aramis Ramirez. Threw a fastball and it's shot into right field, and that's a base hit. They're going to wave around Bird. Here comes a throw from Jay Bruce, and he is out as out can get. What a throw by Jay Bruce from the right field line. A laser right on the money to Ryan Hannigan.
Don't you run on me. That's what Jay Bruce is saying. He's established himself as one of the better right fielders in the league. Boy, does he get to that ball in a hurry, sets himself up, and he uncorks a throw that hits it right to Hannigan. 2 steps away, he just slides over and takes care of business by marking out Marlon Byrd. And a base running mistake really on that play by Aramis Ramirez, who's still standing at first base. Thank you very much.
Alfonso Soriano got a first pitch fastball, and more times than not, if he gets one of those, he is swinging.
I mean, anytime you have a play at the plate like that, and the throw misses the cutoff man and goes all the way to the plate, and that one is on the money, that runner ought to be at second base. So now Aaron Harang's got a chance for a double play to get out of the inning the easy way.
Harang challenging Soriano with back-to-back fastballs to begin this at bat and gets ahead. At 0-2, you see Harang has had very good success in his career against Alfonso Soriano. So still a 2-0 lead for the Reds. We're in the top of the second inning. And the 0-2 pitch coming to Soriano. Line drive off the glove of Roland. Tried to get him with an 0-2 breaking ball, and Soriano stayed right on it. That'll be a base hit. So 3 batters, 3 straight hits.
Well, 3 pretty hard hit balls, too. That ball had a little humpback on it and almost was able to be snagged by Scotty Rowland. You know, when you get ahead of Soriano like that, you go throw a breaking ball, you're so far ahead of him, you ought to try to bounce one, because he's a guy that with a big wild swing If he gets a notion, he'll just start hacking.
Well, the Cubs have 5 regulars in their lineup hitting well over 300. Not just over 300, I mean way up there. Terrio 333, Fukudome 329, Barlin Bird now at 345, Soriano 316, and here's Soto, who checks in at a cool 362. Fastball in there, strike 1-1. Soto is 2 plate appearances shy of qualifying for what would be the National League's best on-base percentage at .516, and he would be the league's 2nd leading batter with that .362 average. Strike 2 at the knees.
Now that's where Aaron Harang's getting all of his good strikes, down and away on that black on the knees.
Two on, 1 out, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Soto. And that's in the air right field. Bruce backing up with room. 2 away. And Aramis Ramirez will tag up in advance on the 3rd. And that's where you go all the way back to the ball that Ramirez did not end up at second base on a throw home from Bruce. The base hit that followed by Soriano would have knocked him in. And if for some reason that didn't knock him in, then that fly ball right there would have.
Yeah, you know, so it does 2 things. It costs your team a run, and it costs your teammate a run batted in.
One more very tough out to go. It was this very same situation last night. 2 on in the 2nd inning, when Starlin Castro came to the plate for the first time in his major league career and hit a 3-run home run to right field in his very first big league at bat. But that would not be all for Castro. He wound up with a 3-run triple later in the game, and the 6 RBIs, setting a major league record for most runs batted in by a player in his big league debut. And 1 to Starlin Castro. Fly ball, right field, inning over. 3 hits to begin the inning, but the Cubs fail to score thanks in large part to the throw of Jay Bruce cutting down Marlon Bird. Kobe. Reds in front 2-0. They bat in the bottom of the second inning against Tom Gorzolani. Ryan Hannigan, Aaron Harang, and Orlando Cabrera due up. Hannigan, a .375 batter. A home run, already 10 runs batted in. He is 1 RBI shy of his total from all of last season, 11 of them. And remember, Ryan got a lot of playing time last year after the injury to Ramon Hernandez. Very good numbers for Hannigan against Chicago Cubs pitching. And really, that might tell you a little bit of something about Hannigan. I mean, let's face it, the Cubs have had pretty doggone good pitching for the last number of years, and Hannigan really his first full year in the major leagues last year. 3-1 to Ryan. Of course, we failed to mention it last night because he was not going to pitch in the game with a blowout that we had. But since we saw the Cubs last, Carlos Zambrano is no longer in their starting rotation. They had so many problems in that bullpen in front of Carlos Marmol that Lou Piniella went to Carlos Zambrano after talking to his pitching coach, talking to the general manager, all the other coaches about what member of their starting rotation would help the team the most by going to the bullpen, and it was nearly unanimous that the two choices were either Randy Wells, who had such an outstanding year as a rookie last year, or Carlos Zambrano. And Lou Piniella brought in Zambrano, ran the idea by him. Zambrano wasn't crazy about it, but was willing to do it. But apparently, since that move was made, Zambrano growing more and more restless, if you believe what you hear, by the day.
Well, at some point, I'd imagine that he's going to go back into the starting rotation. One, they need him in the rotation. Number two, he's a guy that's being paid an awful lot of money to be used either as a middle reliever or a setup man. So if you want to get the most bang for your buck, you get him back in there.
Ramirez fields, throws, and the throw is not in time. Derek Lee can't believe it. That was a smash by Hannigan. And that'll be a hit.
Two bang-bang plays so far early in this ball game. Both of them have gone the Reds' way. That one, a nice little stop by Ramirez. And look at the recovery. Boy, that's a great lesson. If you're a youngster out there and you play the infield and you bobble the ball, don't hang your head and walk over to it and pick it up and flip it back to the pitcher. Stay with it. You just really never know. And he almost makes something out of nothing right there.
Well, Aaron Harang, who has a pair of sacrifices already this year, squares around, and that's strike one. Harang able to pull it away on a breaking ball down and in to even the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Two and one. Ramirez charging hard over at third base. Likewise for the first baseman, and that's easy for Derek Lee on the pop-up. And then Lee nearly threw that thing away. That was a heck of a catch right there by Ryan Theriot to keep that ball from going into right field. Well, Great American Ballpark is the spot to kick off your weekends this summer. And don't miss the very first Fireworks Friday of the year. That's on May the 14th, a week from yesterday, presented by PNC. And And that'll be after the Reds and Cardinals this coming Friday night. It's a great show. If you haven't been, you got to come down. 381-REDS for tickets or go to Reds.com. Orlando Cabrera singled and scored on the Joey Votto home run in the first inning. Reds had 4 hits in that first inning against Gorzelani. Singles by Cabrera, Gomes, and Bruce, Jays of the infield variety, and the long one by Votto to straightaway center. One and one to Cabrera. Very short lead by Hannigan, naturally over at first. But Gorzelani paying a lot of attention to Hannigan.
You know, I'm wondering if maybe he feels like there might be a hit and run on right here, and that the runner may take an early lead just trying to get a good jump over there. So that's not a stolen base lead, and Hannigan doesn't have stolen base speed.
Well, a lot of managers, if they're going to put on a hit and run, like to do it in a 2-1 count. And that is the count right now to Orlando Cabrera.
And the reason they like that count is because that's a count that every pitcher wants to throw a strike. You don't want to go 3-1 to the hitter. So you're coming in there with a strike, usually a fastball.
Runner not going. And a tapper down to Ramirez. There's one. Terrio turns it. A double play will end the inning. One hit, nobody left. We move to the third. A Joey Votto 2-run home run, the difference thus far.
Take it. I can walk. The whole thing is just to be on base. I think that's the whole point.
That is our Geico direct quote from Orlando Cabrera about moving into the leadoff spot. He's done it better than 250 times now in his major league career. Most of the time back when he first came into the big leagues with then the Montreal Expos. Reds 2, the Cubs nothing. Tom Gorzelani leads off for Chicago against Aaron Harang in the third. Strike one. Harang has thrown 35 pitches in the game, and all but 9 of them for strikes. count of 1-2 strikes to Gorzelani, and there's a 2-hopper down to Rowland at third. Plenty of time, and that's the first out of the inning. Well, we invite you to talk Reds baseball with the real McCoy. You know who we're talking about. You can log on to FoxSportsOhio.com right now and during the entire game for a live chat with Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy.
All right, it looks like Nadine let him out of the man cave. Once a week, I guess they have to fumigate that thing, get the cigar smoke out. So he's at the ballpark. And he said when we talked about him last night, Tom, every time we brought him up, he got lots of hits. And he likes lots of hits.
And 1 to Ryan Theriot. He struck out in the first inning, and now it's a ball and a strike.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how Aaron Harang proceeds this time through the order. You know, the first time through primarily fastballs, especially early in the count. He went fastball nearly to everybody in this Cubs lineup. Second time through, do you change that up?
Well, you know, I would turn around and ask you that question, Chris. I mean, you were a guy on the mound. I mean, you know, to me, a layman sitting up here and watching baseball pretty much every night. It's easy to say sitting up here, but I mean, if you struck out the side in the first inning and you were throwing primarily fastballs, you know, why all of a sudden would it warrant the second time through the order to now start doing something besides that? I don't mean you throw a fastball every pitch, but you know where I'm going with it. I mean, until they prove they hit it, why would you change it?
Until you fall into a pattern that they begin to decipher, you stay with what works.
But is a second time up a pattern?
Not really. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to throw the same fastball in the same spot.
Brandon Phillips, a slick play back up through the middle to throw out Theriot.
Guy's like poetry in motion. When he gets up there, goes up the middle to field a ground ball backhanded. You know, the Reds have had some great second basemen. I mean, going back to Brett Boone and Pokey Reese. But I don't think any of those second basemen went to his right as well as Brandon Phillips does. That's a shortstop's arm right there.
2 down now for Kosuke Fukudome. Reds in front 2-0. If you're just joining us, Joey Votto clubbed a 2-run home run to straightaway center field in the top of the first inning against Tom Gorzelani, the only scoring so far. To Fukudome, and a foul ball just underneath our booth. Oh, gentleman reached up there to make the play off the fingertips, popped into the air, and a fella 4 seats down just snatched it away.
Lost it to a man from Mount Orab.
Back up through the middle and into center field, a base hit by Fukudome, a 2-out single. Good to see our old buddy Dennis Jansen popping up to say hello tonight. Been a while since we've seen DJ.
Had a haircut recently, too.
He looks good. Looks younger every time I see him. An elder Panther, you know. Dennis Jansen.
For a lifelong.
Indeedy.
Bleeding purple.
So now Derek Lee, the batter, and a fastball just misses away. Ball 1 to Lee, who looked at strike 3, ending the first inning. Now, DJ doesn't have much time for us anymore, Denny Jansen. You know, The only time you ever see him anymore is when Bill Hemmer, his good friend, comes into town.
Oh, kind of big leaguing you, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, Hemmer's a big league. Another elder grad, Cincinnati's very own Bill Hemmer.
Figures.
You see him on Fox News. 1-0 the count, and now time called by Derek Lee. Billy's got a big golf tournament coming up a week from Monday. Both of his grandparents spent their final years in Bailey Place out on the west side of town, and Bill has a charity event, a golf tournament out at Western Hills Country Club to raise money for that facility. A wonderful place, and he'll be in town in a little over a week.
You guys were pretty tight running mates there for a while, were you not?
Roomies for a little while.
Whoa.
1-1 to Derek Lee. There's a fastball right down the middle. That looked like the one Lee looked at for strike 3 his first time up.
Yeah, you know, hitters will never admit that they're guessing up there. They're thinking with the pitchers, in other words, but he had to be looking for something other than a fastball because that baby was right down Broadway for him.
Runner at first, 2 away, 1-2 on Derek Lee, and Orang coming to the plate, trying a breaking ball that misses away.
Yeah, this is one of those matchups that there are no secrets right now between these two because Aaron Orang has faced him 60 times. Lee's reached him for 5 home runs, driven in 12 off of him. 271 batting average overall, which is less than Lee's lifetime average. But they know each other. So it comes down to, do you execute the pitches that you want? I mean, Aaron Orang's not going to get Lee out. He's just simply going to give Lee a good opportunity to get himself out. And obviously they want to stay away from him. He has not come inside one time. Lee, as I mentioned last night, big, tall guy, long arms, but a real short swing.
Center field, plenty of room out there for Drew Stubbs. And the inning is over. Orang takes care of Lee. The Cubs leave a man. Middle of the third, the Reds in front, 2-0. Third, leading 2-0. Take a look at the National League Central Division presented by Honda. Cardinals, well, they stole one last night from the Pirates. More accurately, the Pirates just handed it over in a 1-run win. Reds 4.5 back, 1 under 500. Cubs 2 under. Milwaukee beat Arizona last night. And the Astros 9-20. The Astros become the first team in Major League Baseball to lose 20. Kansas City has 19 losses. I beg your pardon, Baltimore has also lost that number. 21 losses for the Orioles. Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto, Scott Rowland in the Reds' third inning. Brandon lined out to Marlon Byrd in center field, his first time up tonight. Well, you talk about having a good day. How about this date in baseball history in 1968? It's not enough that Catfish Hunter threw a perfect game. Oh, no. He had 3 hits and drove in 3 runs as the Oakland A's beat the Minnesota Twins 4-0. How about that for a game?
That is a good game. All right, which is a better game? That Catfish Hunter perfect game, 3 hits and drive in 3, or Rick Wise threw a no-hitter at Riverfront Stadium and hit 2 home runs?
Well, I got to go with Catfish Hunter. There's a big difference in those 2 sentences, and it's one single word. Perfect. Agree or disagree?
Disagree. I'll take the 2 bombs and the no-hitter.
All right. Let's see, it's conceivable that you can lose with a no-hitter.
That's true.
You cannot lose with a perfect game. You may not win, but you cannot lose. There's a bouncing ball. Deep in the hole, it's short. And that'll be another infield hit for a Red. That's 3 of them tonight so far.
Well, when they're going your way, it's certainly a great thing to see. And the Reds have had them. A couple of them off the glove of the third baseman, Aramis Ramirez. This one simply in that 5.5 hole. A high chopper with a little bit of overspin right there. And even as talented as the young Starlene Castro is, he can't make that play. I'm anxious to see this kid field and make some plays. They say his defense is even better than his offense. Hey, last night he drove in 6 runs. I'm not sure how it could get much better.
Now, Lou Piniella was talking about that today. He said that he was looking forward to seeing him make some of the plays that the Cub manager saw Castro make during spring training. Apparently has a cannon for an arm. This young man's only 20.
He looks it.
Votto, a 2-run home run his first time up. 1 ball and 1 strike. When the Reds get it done with an RBI, that means another $25 from Shakely for the Reds Community Fund. Shakely, it's done. One and two now to Votto. One and two the count on Votto. Swing and a miss, throw to second, and Phillips is safe. Got the left hand in the bag before Castro made the tag. So Votto is out of there, first out of the inning, and give Phillips his 3rd stolen base in 6 attempts.
You know, we'll have to take another look at it, Tom, but I think Castro just missed the tag. Good slide right there by Brandon Phillips. How about that? He just goes to the backside of the bag. He's off the bag right there, but he gets his foot back on just in time. Castro really staying away from the second base bag a little bit. He's about a foot or so to the third base side of that bag, and he can't reach over the bag far enough to tag Phillips. You just wonder now with Ryan Theriot, the second baseman, running out there to the mound, but maybe talking about the possibility of Brandon Phillips stealing third base. Always a little easier to steal the base of a third base off a left-hander than it is a right-hander. Or they're talking about perhaps the signs they're going to use with the runner on second.
Gorzelani is fan 3, has not walked a batter, has given up 2 runs and 6 hits. And here's Roland, who struck out his first time up. Ball 1 away.
Well, they're going to play Roland to pull, and they'll leave Castro deep in the hole of shortstop. And Terrio's the guy mainly responsible for holding on the runner at second base.
Scotty chasing a high fastball and comes up empty, and that'll be 1 ball and 1 strike on the Reds' third baseman. The Reds will wrap up this homestand tomorrow, but they're only gone for 3 days, taking on the Pirates on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon, get home Wednesday night, have an off day on Thursday, and then the Cardinals come to town next Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
They owe those Buccos a little payback, don't they?
You're not lying. Last time the Reds went into Pittsburgh, in fact, the last time the Cubs went into Pittsburgh, neither team won a game.
Or scored very many runs.
Nope.
Pirates put it in shutdown mode.
2 balls and a strike to Roland. Phillips out at second. And a tapper down to Ramirez. And Phillips will run right behind him to advance on to third, but throws out Roland. Does Ramirez, and they're 2 away in the inning. And then after the 3-game series next weekend against the Cardinals, it'll be the Milwaukee Brewers. Never understood those 2-game series. You know, Chris, after those 2 games, we go to Atlanta and play 2 games down there.
And televise only 1.
Well, now Johnny Gomes with 2 away and a runner at third. That's a nice play there by Soto. Phillips just 90 feet away from the Reds' 3rd run of the night. Fouled away. Boy, he had a good pitch to hit right there.
Some fans up here in the second deck right below us hoping to get thrilled by Johnny.
You know, I can't see who the guy is, but I mean, I think the guy's a pretty regular at Great American Ballpark.
It's the kind of fan you like.
No doubt. Two and 1 to Johnny Gomes, and it's up and away, 3 balls and a strike. And you know, you have a left-handed batter in Jay Bruce on deck. Gomes had a base hit into left field his first time up. Now you got to wonder, will Gomes get a fastball to hit on this 3-1 count? Pulled into left field, and it's a base hit to knock in a run. Well done, Johnny Gomes. And it's 3-0 Reds.
Well, he did not get a fastball. He got a 3-1 changeup. We had the advantage of seeing what was coming. Johnny Gomes didn't, and he lashes that pitch. Was not a bad location. How about low and away on the corner? Second time in a row now Johnny Gomes has gone down to get a pitch lining in the left field. Came in this ball game 0 for 9 against Gorzelani. He is 2 for 2 tonight.
Now Jay Bruce who had an infield hit his first time up. Johnny Gomes now 16 runs batted in. I'll tell you one thing Gomes has done this year. You know, his batting average may not be much to write home about overall, his season batting average. When you start looking at Johnny Gomes now with runners in scoring position so far this year, overall a .412 batter going into the game. With 2 outs, he is 4 for 6 with runners in scoring position.
Working it.
Job well done. And one thing we know about Gomes, Chris, you and I have talked about it a number of times already, last year and this year. I know you were very high on Johnny Gomes last year and the kind of season that he had. But I mean, this guy gives you everything that he has each and every night when he's in there.
Well, I like the guys that hustle.
Swing and a miss, and that'll end the inning. But Johnny Gomes delivers. A 2-out base hit to put the Reds in front at the end of 3. 3-0. Grade. Ah, yes, some of the goodies here at Great American Ballpark. They've enhanced so much of this ballpark, even going back to when it was brand spanking new in 03. Seemingly improvements every single year. This year, no different. Just a great place to watch a game.
Had a pretty good crowd tonight. Kind of a slow arriving crowd right around game time. It looked like a lot of people were still filing in, wondering what perhaps this cool weather, unseasonably cool weather, would have an effect on any of the walk-ups.
The last time Aaron Harang faced the Cubs, his second start of the year, when he wound up going 7 innings and giving up 3 runs. Threw the ball very well in that game, didn't walk anybody, struck out 7. But you may remember he was given a 3-0 lead in that game and couldn't hold it. Carlos Zambrano was struggling early in the game. Reds jumped in front 3-0, but battled back to tie and wound up winning the game, although Harang did not figure in the decision. So Aaron trying to prevent that from occurring. He's fallen behind Marlon Byrd to begin the 4th inning, and it's 3-1. Well, we talked about Marlon Byrd and where his batting average stands, and remember, his second time up tonight, you can stick Giovanni Soto right in between Andre Ethier and Jason Worth. There's strike 2 to Byrd. He thought it was ball 4.
But if you think it's ball 4 and you head to first base and you realize it's not, You run back and grab your bat quickly. And that's exactly what Marlon Byrd did. Don't show up the umpire. Honest mistake. Get back in the box.
You know, when Byrd came over during the offseason, signed as a free agent, and the Cubs traded away the troubled Milton Bradley. You know, so many people wanted to ask Marlon Byrd about him being the anti-Milton Bradley. Well, Byrd and Bradley are actually friends. They were teammates with one another down in Texas, and Byrd said, hey, look, you know, I wasn't here last year when Milton Bradley was here. I'm not going to say anything bad about Milton Bradley, he said, because I've always gotten along with him very, very well. You know, if you guys think my presence in the clubhouse is good for the team, then that's good for the team. But I'm not going to sit here and talk about me being here and things being better because I'm here and Bradley's not.
Good way to handle it.
Well, he's a pro. And by all accounts, no matter where he plays, he's one of the most liked players on whatever team. Ninth pitch in the at-bat, and that's strike 3 call. And again, Byrd dropped his bat thinking it was ball 4. But he doesn't say a thing to Jerry Lane.
Aaron Harang hitting the corners tonight. Struck out 3 in the first. That's his first strikeout since the first inning.
Ramos Ramirez had a single into right field. That was a base hit where Byrd tried to score from second base, and Jay Bruce threw him out at the plate. Want to know to Ramirez. Fouled away. Well, they're in the bottom of the 9th inning at Fenway Park. Finally, the Yankees are beating the Red Sox 14-3. Well, you talk about a rivalry all of a sudden that have done a complete 180. I mean, the Yankees own the Red Sox. I mean, right now you can't even compare those two franchises. And it's amazing. It wasn't all that long ago, Chris, when it was the Red Sox wearing out the Yankees.
Yeah. Well, the Red Sox have gone into a completely different direction this year. They touted themselves as being ahead of the baseball curve, emphasizing pitching and defense. Tough to score, tough to win in that division. Averaging 3 runs a game.
In the air, right center field. Stubbs will track it down. Stubbs has such good speed. And that's a nice play for the second out of the inning. All right, time to rethink possible. Our AT&T trivia question. Who is the last Cy Young Award winner for the Chicago Cubs? Give you a few minutes to think about that.
Did he become later an announcer?
I assume you're talking about Rick Sutcliffe.
Yeah, did he not? He never won a Cy Young?
I thought he won that thing after he came over that year from Cleveland.
I thought he did too.
But maybe he didn't. He was only there for a half a year. But he went like 15-1 or something ridiculous, didn't he? Swinging a foul ball back out of play. Well, let me think about that. Well, Greg Maddux won one. I know that. He won one, in fact, and then walked out the door at the end of that year. And then what? Won the next 2 or 3 in a row with his new team, the Atlanta Braves. Maddux won it, I believe, in 1992 or 93. Just trying to think if they've had anyone else win it since then. I mean, Carlos Zambrano's never won one. And he has been, without question, their best pitcher for any extended period of time. Swing and a miss, and the inning is over. So we'll give you a little bit of time to chew on that. Reds lead after 3.5, 3-0. Who was the last Cy Young Award winner for the Chicago Cubs? Yep, 92, Greg Maddux. The Cubs have had 4 Cy Young Award winners. And by the way, Chris, you were right. Ritz Sutcliffe did win it after coming over in 1984 in that trade from the Cleveland Indians. Bruce Sutter won it in 1979. And, you know, really based on longevity. The greatest Cub pitcher of them all, Ferguson Jenkins, won it in 1971. Ferguson Jenkins, a Hall of Famer. Well, Bruce Sutter's a Hall of Famer.
Yes, he is.
Greg Maddux will be a Hall of Famer. Maddux a first ballot lock. We had Greg Maddux working with pitchers during spring training this year in the Cubs organization, swinging a foul ball out of play. Two and two to Drew Stubbs. Lead 3-0 the Reds do to begin this bottom of the 4th inning against Tom Gorzolani. A 2-run home run by Joey Votto in the first. An infield hit, a stolen base for Brandon Phillips in the 3rd. He scored on a 2-out hit by Johnny Gomes. Stubbs struck out looking his first time up. That ended the 1st inning. He'll be followed by Ryan Hannigan and then Aaron Harang. One away.
Well, 3-2 count. We're right after with a fastball, a high fastball, and throws it right by him. 5 punch outs for Gorzolani. 2 of them. The victim is Drew Stubbs. Got to get him going.
That ball in the air, a sinking liner caught by Soriano. That ball must have had a lot of topspin on it. Soriano was reaching up around his neck and wound up catching that ball around his knee.
Now, Ryan Hannigan has hit it hard both times up.
So now Aaron Harang with the bases empty and 2 away. Harang tried to put down a sacrifice his first time up in his second inning and popped up to Derek Lee. 3 runs, 7 hits, 3 men left on base for the Reds. The Cubs have been shut out by Harang on 4 hits. And the Cubs have left 3 on base. Tomorrow the finale, Mother's Day tomorrow. We invite you to come on down to the ballpark. A 1:10 first pitch. And an early happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Looking forward to having you with us tomorrow. And a very good pitching matchup. Mike Leake, 2-0 at 2.9 ERA. Against Ryan Dempster, 2-2 with a 2.9 ERA as well. Soto will put the exclamation point on that strikeout in a 1-2-3 inning, the first of the night for Gorzelani. We played 4 and the Reds lead 3-0. With a man aboard in the first inning, getting the Reds off to a 2-0 lead. They've tacked on a run since. Lotto's now hitting 7 straight games, has 6 home runs this year. Aaron Harang has been very sharp. The only trouble in he's been in the entire night came in the second inning, when Bird had a base hit, went to second on a wild pitch. Ramirez singled into right, and Jay Bruce threw out Bird at the plate. The next batter, Soriano, had a single, but with 2 on and only 1 out, Harang was able to retire Giovanni Soto and Starlin Castro to end the inning. Harang allowed a 2-out single to Fukudome in the third, retired the side in order in the fourth. So the latter third in the batting order here in the fifth. 2-0 on Giovanni Soto. 3-0. Three balls, no strikes on Soto. Took a little off to get a strike. And now it's full as Soto fouls away to 3-1.
You come right after him right here. Number 7 hitter. You've got a young kid in number 8 spot and a pitcher number 9. Work hard at getting this guy out. You could have a very easy inning. Well, this is a little more like the Aaron Harang of old. And what I mean by that is you see so many high fastballs fouled off straight back or back off to the Reds dugout. They're just a little bit tardy on it. And that's what Aaron Harang's calling card used to be. He'd have a very deceptive delivery. The ball would be on you, and you just think you're on it, and the ball's already by you. Like right there.
Fastball in the inside corner, and that's strike 3 called. 6 of them tonight for Aaron Harang.
Well, he's been going away, 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 and all of a sudden on this 3-2 pitch, he decides to come inside, maybe not by choice, just by the way that ball moved. And Soto was looking away, so when that ball came tailing back in there, he kind of freezes right there. A little bit of a hip movement. Half a dozen of them.
Here's Castro. First pitch breaking ball, and it's dribbled foul. Castro, a fly ball to short right field, caught by Jay Bruce, ending the Chicago second. Another breaking ball that Castro chases. And a tapper down to Roland in there quickly, 2 away in the inning with a pitcher coming up, and we invite you to be a part. Back-to-back years of the Gillette Civil Rights Game as the Reds take on the Cardinals. That's a week from today, May the 15th. The first 20,000 fans in attendance receive a Chuck Harmon 1954 replica mesh jersey, just
Sweet.
like the style the Reds players will wear for the game, thanks to Duke Energy. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. It's a big weekend next weekend, not just because the Cardinals are here, but the Civil Rights Game, and that was such an enormous success last year during interleague play with the White Sox. We certainly invite you to the ballpark. Harang not fooling around. Ahead of Gorzalani, 0-2. And we'll do it again. Harang has struck out 6.
Well, the last 3 starts really have been one step better than the previous one for Aaron Harang, going back to the time that he pitched in Houston, pitched a good ball game against the Astros, pitched a good ball game against St. Louis, and even much better tonight.
He has matched his season high in strikeouts with 7. He fanned 7 Cubs in 7 innings, the first time he faced them this year. Great seats are available for the Reds and the Cardinals. There's a lot going on next weekend, man. The Civil Rights game on Saturday. Brandon Phillips mesh jersey night day, actually, on Sunday. Call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/family. Cardinals coming in next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the Reds come to bat last of the 5th inning against Tom Orsolani. And it's popped up. Derek Lee. He may have lost track where he was over there. It looked like he had a shot to at least reach in there and make a play on that ball. We saw Joey Votto did it last night.
Yeah, Votto did it last night. Really, a kind of a nonchalant way. You'd like to be able to reach for it. See him reaching for it with his bare hand. He wasn't sure where that wall was.
Lee, one of the truly great defenders at the first base position for
no doubt
well over a decade. There's a one-hopper by Cabrera to Ramirez. One away. 1 for 3 tonight is Orlando Cabrera with a run scored. And here comes Brandon Phillips, who's 1 for 2.
Hey, Reds fans, check out this year's Rookie of the Year, JTM's new 32-count microwavable burgers. Look for them in their yellow bag today. JTM, food, family, fun.
One out, nobody on, and Brandon Phillips had an infield hit, stole a base, scored a run on the Johnny Gomes base hit in the 3rd inning. Phillips hit the ball very hard. Just goes to show you about baseball. I mean, he almost knocked the cover off of it in the 1st inning. But it was a line drive right at Marlon Burden's center. And then he had an infield hit in the hole at short in the 3rd inning. And didn't hit that ball nearly as hard as the first time up. He hits this one pretty hard into left center field. And Phillips sprinting out of the batter's box on his way to second base with a 1-out double.
Well, that young man can be as good as he wants to be. That's really about all you can say because he is so talented. Great hand-eye coordination, tremendous strength, quick hands. And he lines that ball into the left center field gap and hooking it right away. You know, if your whole team plays like that, you got spirit, you got energy, and it's contagious. And you got something going for you that you can't duplicate if you don't play that way.
It's 8 doubles this season now for Brandon Phillips. And here's Joey Votto. And a high fly ball. Will back up Soriano. Phillips acting like he's tagging up. They're just forcing Soriano to make a throw, and they're quickly 2 gone. Now Scott Rowland looking for a 2-out hit and an RBI. We get a look at Great American Ballpark. You hear more and more people around the league say the same thing over and over. I mean, people with other teams. You know, they'll come in here and they'll say, you know, the more I come here, the more I really like this place. You know, for a while there out in center field, there was just that, you know, black box. Then all of a sudden the tall stacks were added, and then you get the pilot house out there in center.
Got the new scoreboard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place to watch a game, man.
I'll tell you, visiting teams really like coming to Cincinnati. They like the downtown. They like the proximity of the downtown hotels of the ballpark because they all get to walk down to the park. There aren't all that many major league cities where you stay close enough to the park where you can walk, and it's a real convenience when you do.
Rolling off the end of the bat, a pop-up at his short right. Who wants this thing? And the second baseman, Terrio, with a nice play, and that'll end the inning. A hit a man left. We go to the 6th. Reds 3, Cubbies nothing.
right. Time now for our Meyer text poll question. All these people have their phones out. They're ready to text. Here's tonight's question. It's brought to you by Meyer. Do you enjoy seeing a lot of balls fly out of Great American Ballpark? Now, obviously, the most exciting play in baseball is the home run, but I think the gist of the question is, this is a homer-friendly ballpark. Do you like that? Text 1 for yes, 2 for no. 37664 is the number you text to. Standard text message rates apply. Well, the results coming up. Tom Brenneman.
All right, James, thank you very much. Not amongst them.
Not amongst them. I had to.
I mean, that's one spot you don't have to be referred to as down in front. There's a liner into right field. It'll fall in a hit. Jay Bruce able to knock it down. Here comes a runner, and then he stops. Ryan Terrio says, I've seen that play before, where the right fielder for the Reds throws people out. But it's a leadoff single now for Terrio. It's a 3-0 game. And this is now the third time through the batting order for Aaron Harang. So far this season, you get a look at Chase Field in Arizona. This is home runs on average per game. Camden Yards behind Chase Field in Arizona. Camden Yards in Baltimore. Miller Park in Milwaukee.
The number 1 and 3 there, Chase Field. Chase is in, that's Arizona now, right?
Yeah.
They've changed that name how many times now?
Just twice. It was Bank One Ballpark, and then the only reason they changed it is because Chase bought Bank One.
Okay. Well, they've got a home run hitting ball club there in Arizona. They've got a home run hitting ball club there in Milwaukee.
Yes.
So that will add to that average, obviously, big time.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the Diamondbacks, maybe in the last 2 or 3 days it's changed, but they led the league in home runs, and they led the league in giving up the most home runs.
You know what's odd is not seeing Colorado on that list anymore.
You're right. Phillips to Harang, and how about that? Boy, that's a heads-up play right there by Brandon Phillips. After the ball initially bounced off the glove of Joey Votto, Phillips was moving that direction anyway, stayed with it, and give credit to Harang for getting to the bag.
Man, this had base hit written all over it, off the glove of Votto. Here comes Brandon Phillips, but all the while, if you're Aaron Harang, you still have to stay on course. You still got to get over and cover first base. Brandon likes it.
It's good stuff. But you were starting to say about the home run part.
I mean, you know, that can skew it. I mean, if you've got a home run hitting ball club, you know, you're going to be at the top of that list. But it's just odd not seeing Colorado on that list. I mean, they used to be light years ahead of everybody. Well, in the days before the humidor.
And you know, the other one, you go back to the year, as there's a fly ball by Derek Lee. This will stay in the park. Stubbs has it. And Terrio will tag up and go to third, 2 away in the inning. But, you know, Great American Ballpark opened in 2003. Since 2003, the most homer-friendly ballpark in the major leagues. U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago on the south side. Number 2, Great American Ballpark. So U.S. Cellular not on that list either. Of course, the White Sox are scuffling. I mean, they used to have all those boppers in that lineup every night. Well, you know the guy I was thinking of, he's starting tonight. You talk about a guy scuffling in the American League. How about Jake Peavy? Oh.
They gave up a lot to get him, too.
He's pitching a good game tonight. White Sox leading Toronto 3-1 that game in the 6th inning. There's a fly ball down the right field line, and it's foul.
He might just be getting off to one of those slow funks early in the year. I wouldn't count Jake Peavy out.
No. Yeah, we're looking it up. Arizona does lead the National League in home runs. They have hit 42 home runs. You know how many the Astros have hit?
9.
11.
11.
Oh, and 1 to Marlon Byrd. And a breaking ball of beauty on the outside corner. How about the Atlanta Braves? The Braves have only hit 18 home runs. Man.
Well, the Blue Jays lead all of baseball. They've had 46. And that's surprising. Reds overall in Major League Baseball rank. That's the National League there. And overall, they rank tied for 9th in home runs.
See the Cubs second on that list in the National League.
It's pretty much a list of big boys. I mean, once you get by the Blue Jays and the Diamondbacks, then you get the White Sox. They're third now at 41. Red Sox, Cubs, Yankees, Phillies, Brewers. They're the sluggers. And then the Reds. Tied with the Cardinals.
High hopper, going to be a tough play for Phillips. Bare hands, throws from his knees. And unable to snatch it out of the dirt is Votto. That's an infield hit for Bird and an RBI to make it a 3-1 game. Great effort by Phillips.
Well, the only chance Brandon had of making that play was barehanded. And he went over there. Looks like he got onto the grass and slipped. Went to plant his foot, and then his right foot just went out from underneath him, and that's why that ball was down in the dirt. Boy, what concentration to be able to catch a ball barehanded like that and come up throwing.
So the inning continues now for Aramis Ramirez, 1 for 2 in the game. And all of a sudden Ramirez becomes the tying run at the plate.
Well, you always pitch tough to Ramirez. I mean, you respect his power. He's turned himself into a very good breaking ball hitter here in the latter part of his career. Murderizes left-handers.
Pitch on the way to Aramis Ramirez. And he's tardy on a fastball, and it's out of play.
Yeah, that's really why Aaron Aramis pretty much kept the heater on him tonight. Low and away with a fastball, and he's been able to dot the eye. You know, I've said this many times. That's a tough pitch for a right-hander to throw consistently. First base side of home plate, get good extension out there, and keep hitting that spot without having your fastball come back. If you can hit that ball, if you can throw that pitch out here somewhere and keep it down that way, you're going to win a lot of ball games.
No balls and a strike on Ramirez. Runner at first, 2 outs here in the Cubs' 6th. That ball drilled into right center field, and Perusa is able to get there in time. Cubs get a run, leave a man. Middle of the 6th, the Reds with a 2-run advantage. Brewed Coors Light. It's been a good game tonight for Brandon.
You know, that is a great shot and a tremendous play by Brandon Phillips. I mean, he's out if he slides straight into second base normally, but he's trying to get an advantage. And he takes an advantage of maybe a little inexperience on the part of Starlene Castro. Big time play.
Johnny Gomes to begin things against Tom Gorzolani here in the Reds' 6th inning. 3-1 game. Reds in front. Reds got a 2-run home run by Votto in the first. Gomes knocked in Phillips after that stolen base you just saw in the third. And the Cubs get an infield hit, an RBI by Marlon Byrd in the top of this inning.
Tell you what, very quietly, Tom Gorzolani's pitching a pretty good game. You know, except for that 2-run home run in the first inning to Joey Votto, the Reds have a hard time really scratching much out against him.
One ball and one strike on Johnny Gomes. Fooled him there with a breaking ball. But Gomes has 2 hits. Single to left center, that RBI single to left field with 2 outs in the third. Came right back with another breaking ball. The same result for Gorzolani. Well, Hal McCoy standing by, the Hall of Fame baseball writer. All you got to do is log on to FoxSportsOhio.com. You can chat with him live or get a complete recap of tonight's game right after the game. Presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. So you know Hal's getting busy right now. He's down there banging away like he was last night.
And loves doing it.
Hit off the end of the bat, foul by Jay Bruce. We talked about Aaron Harang. He's matched his season high with 7 strikeouts tonight. The same for Gorzolani. He has 7 of them. And now has 8 of them. And neither starting pitcher has walked a batter tonight.
Pitched a little backwards in this particular at bat did Tom Gorzolani. Gets a high fastball to finish off Jay Bruce, but set that up with a couple of real good looking sliders. I mean, he is on his game tonight. Gorzolani is. Just a good thing that Aaron Harang so far has bested him.
Lined into right, and that one sails over the head of Fukudome. And Drew Stubbs is into second base with a hit. That has scored a double.
You know, he's got good big-time power, Drew Stubbs does. He's a big, strong guy. He's got real strong hands. And, you know, it's a matter of making contact. He's whiffed a couple of times tonight. He comes up here and hits that line drive right over the head of the right fielder. I think Fukudome thought that ball was going to, you know, run out of gas and come down a little bit so he could grab it. It just kept going and going. See if the Reds can take advantage of it.
Well, they're going to intentionally walk Ryan Hannigan with a pitcher spot due up next.
Yeah, in one way, trying to force the hand of Dusty Baker, saying, all right, what we'd really like you to do right here is pinch hit for Aaron Harang and get him out of there because he's been dealing. The Reds have nobody up in the bullpen and no intention for Dusty Baker, at least at this point, to change pitchers. I mean, you got a 2-run lead here.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron's got 1 RBI in the year. Remember the controversial base hit that was hit right in front of the right fielder that went back for a review? I think that was the one.
Andre Ethier, right?
I believe so.
So Harang bats with 2 on and 2 out. And pulls that one foul. Of course, that was a base hit by Harang when the Reds had the bases loaded. The one you talked about that they ultimately reviewed. And actually, it wasn't reviewed. The umpires got together and changed the call, because a play like that is not a reviewable play. But the umpires got together, and the one umpire said that he thought he had a better view of it. They called it a single. But the problem was, as you go back and we get a look at it, this sinking line drive that was trapped by Andre Ethier. But the Reds would have scored 2 runs on the play.
So they had to reset the base runners, and they only gave 1 run.
Yeah, Jay Bruce was, you saw the second runner scoring there, and he was sent back to third base.
I call that an informal review.
Well, you're right. I mean, really, ultimately, that's what it is.
I mean, anytime you convene a committee and you look over a situation, again, it's a review. They just didn't go to the monitor down underneath the dugouts.
Swing and a miss, and that'll end the inning. 1 hit, 2 men left. We go to the 7th. Harang pitching a beauty, but just a 2-run lead. Start as a Red. And he'll be facing Alfonso Soriano, Giovanni Soto, and Starlin Castro with a 2-run lead in the 7th. Soriano is singled to left and struck out. Harang a big deep breath and now going to work in the 7th. And starts out Soriano, ball 1.
Well, 221 starts in his career, 200th start for the Reds. 8 seasons, 70 and 77. Not a bad earned run average. Best year was back in 2007 when he was 16 and 6. And he hopes to have that kind of a year this year. I'll tell you, this is the best he's thrown the ball. I mean, I know the last couple of starts he was good, quality starts, but this is as well as he has thrown it from a pitching standpoint. Velocity, location, and he hasn't even had a good breaking ball tonight. I mean, he's done it primarily with his fastball. And consequently, he stayed away from throwing too many breaking balls and getting a lot of outs.
2 balls and a strike on Alfonso Soriano, and there's a fastball that's barely outside. Reds have action in their bullpen for the first time tonight. Right-hander Mike Lincoln. The left-hander is Arthur Rhodes. 3 balls and a strike on Soriano. Came with a fastball, and it's fouled back.
Just challenging him. You know, the home run spot, I think, for Soriano is obvious. He likes it out over the plate, but he likes it down. He's a lifter. I mean, he likes to lift that ball. Look how he kind of crouches his upper body, really gets down low, and he brings his torso up as he swings.
There's strike 3 called. Another Cub goes down looking. 5 of the 8 strikeouts called third strikes. Soriano, I'm sure, thought that was low.
17 punch outs in this ball game between these 2 starting pitchers.
Strikeouts, a season best for Aaron Harang. His second start of the year. When he went 7 innings and allowed the 3 runs against the Cubs, he didn't walk anybody in that game either and struck out 7. No walks again tonight. And there's another fastball with plenty of giddy up here in the 7th inning on pitch number 104. That was 93 miles per hour.
Not even close to being tired.
That pitch right there. Soto's never going to hit that one hard in play. I just tied him up again at 93. And Harang right back to work. Strike 3 called again.
That's a changeup there. He's had a hard time getting a good grip on his slider, finding a release point, but that changeup's been a real good pitch. Nice to be able to dig into your pocket of pitches and ping that baby out. Maybe that was a slider. I think it was a slider. Not a lot of break on it. Just had good arm action and froze Soto.
2 down now for Castro. And a fastball is away. Castro, the monster major league debut last night. Couple of hits, 6 knocked in.
He doesn't look like the same guy tonight.
A fly ball to right and a tapper to third. 0 for 2. A ball and a strike.
Of course, they celebrated his big outing last night, the Cubs, in the clubhouse with a beer shower. But he's only 20 years old, so he couldn't consume any of it. He celebrated later on with some soft drinks and chips.
Harang a strike away from fanning the side here in the 7th. Nice piece of hitting by the kid right there. It's a 94-mile-per-hour fastball down the right field line for a double. And now the tying run will come to the plate, and they'll send up a pinch hitter for Gorzolani.
A very nice bit of hitting for Castro. He already picked up a triple and a double or a home run last night. A little bit of just a kind of swatting that ball that's on the outer part of the plate. Staying on it. That's a good swing. Well, the book on him is obviously he can hit a fastball. I mean, you don't go through the minor leagues and hit 380 in Double-A if you can't turn on a heater.
An interesting choice here. Lou Piniella had Tyler Colvin in the on-deck circle. They called him back. Colvin was not announced as the pinch hitter, so he's still available. They send up Mike Fontenot to pitch hit. And Dusty Baker comes out to the mound. Well, you can read his lips right there. You all right?
Yeah, well, you know what Dusty does in situations like this? He likes to look right into the eyes of his pitcher. Ask him that question directly. And then read the response that he gets. And if he gets the right response, if the guy says, and in a convincing way, I want this guy. Don't take me out now. I got him, Skip. Don't worry about it. He'll leave him in. If he's unconvincing, he'll look right past that pitcher and make him move to the bullpen. So Aaron Harang, only 110 pitches. This is his ball game.
Well, you can understand why Fontenot's being set up there in his career against Harang. And Fontenot, even though he had a pinch hit grand slam here last night, it was his first home run all year. He is 7 for 20 against Harang and has 3 home runs. That's got to be the most by far for Mike Fontenot against any pitcher in his career, because he is not a home run hitter.
I bet Daddy Waz could look that up for you.
1-0 the count on Fontenot, runner at second base. In a 2-run game, foul out of play by Fontenot. A pinch hit grand slam against Carlos Fisher just inside the fair pole. Fastball paints the outside corner at 92.
How about I look it up for you and tell you that it is Aaron Harang he's reached 3 times. He's reached Jose Contreras twice, and a whole bunch of others only once.
Just off the outside corner. Play.
Well, he's staying away from him, and it's a pretty smart thing to do. You saw Fontenot's home run last night was on the inner part of the plate. He got the bat head going and got the bat way out, or hit the ball way out in front of the plate. But Aaron Harang's natural movement on that fastball is away from him, and he's sitting on that outside corner.
2-2 on Fontenot. Well, they go out there again.
Well, you got to love the way
full.
Hannigan moves around back there. He gives the sign, and then he gets right up behind the hitter to make him feel that that pitch is coming inside. And in the last second, he moves outside.
Pitch number 117 for Harang, trying to put away Fontenot and the Cubs in a 7th. We'll do it again. Eighth pitch in this at-bat coming up. Castro a 2-out double. And again a 3-2 to Fontenot. And there will be a 9th pitch in the at-bat.
Pesky little dude.
Fontenot just lost his job with the arrival of Starlin Castro here last night. Fontenot was their second baseman, but now Terrio has moved from short to second with Castro's arrival. 3-2 again. Pitch number 10 upcoming. Three balls, 2 strikes to Fontenot. 10 pitches in this at bat. Who blinks first? Harang or Fontenot? Ball 4, and Fontenot wins the battle. So now you have right-handed batting Ryan Terrio coming up, and Dusty has made the decision. The night is over for Aaron Harang. 121 pitches. He gave him the opportunity to take care of Fontenot, but Fontenot draws a walk to keep the inning alive.
his responsibility. The walk was the last batter that he faced, and he punched out 9. So a nice outing for Aaron Harang. He hopes that his successor, Mike Lincoln, can come in and slam the door. 12 appearances for Lincoln. First batter efficiency, that's what we're looking at right here. You need to get that third out. He's done it 75% of the time.
Ryan Theriot looks at a first pitch breaking ball. I don't know if this would constitute a changing of the guard, but the Reds have not had many games like this year. They've come from behind, won in their final at bat 9 times. Have not had a lot of games where they've had a lead in the 7th or 8th inning. You know, the way you draw it up, where you go to your bullpen maybe in the 7th, 8th, and 9th to nail it down. They were so good in that area last year. Nick Masson was a guy who was a right-handed setup man. I mean, this would have been his spot earlier in this season.
Well, it might be his spot coming to the 8th inning. And maybe Dusty doesn't want to use him in the 7th and just bring him in the 8th.
1-1 to Theriot.
He did not double switch, and the pitcher spot is due up first next inning for the Reds.
Two and one to count on Theriot. The runners at first and second base. And now Theriot wants timeout.
Yeah, check that on my part. I messed my scorebook up. They intentionally walked Hannigan, and Harang made the last out.
Two and one to Theriot. And there's a roller. Lincoln's going to have to hurry, and he can't find the handle. That's just tough luck right there for Mike Lincoln. That'll be... Well, we'll see how they score it. That'd have been a tough play.
Well, the Reds have had a few of those go in their favor tonight. They've had 3 infield hits at least, and it's a do-or-die play. You go down there, you try to grab it, think you're going to get a good grip on it and fire at the first base. It may be a blessing he did not get that ball cleanly held in his hand, because you throw off balance like that, you've got a chance of firing it down the right field line.
Well, that's going to be all for Lincoln. Arthur Rhodes will come on to face the left-handed batting Kosuke Fukudome, although it would not be a surprise to see Fukudome called back. I mean, Lou Piniella has some options on that bench from the right side. Primarily, Xavier. And that's a tail for Arthur Rhodes. His 13th appearance, first batter efficiency, 92%. He's retired. Cubs have him loaded with the Reds leading 3-1 in the 7th inning. 2 are out. And Xavier Nady bats for Kosuke Fukudome.
Now remember, now with the bases loaded, nowhere to put Xavier Nady, and the advantage is in his court because he knows that Arthur Rhodes has got to come after him with strikes. He's a good fastball hitter, Nady is.
This Cub threat started after the first two in the inning were not only retired, they were struck out by Aaron Harang.
Well, that fastball of Rhodes is really cutting hard. That started middle of the plate and ended up off the dish.
Two and 0 on Xavier Nady with the bases loaded. And Rhodes delivers low, ball 3. And now Rhodes wants a new baseball. A 2-out, 2-strike double by Castro. On 11 pitch at bat, ending in a walk to Fontenot, then an infield hit by Terrio. Now 3-0 to Nady. And there's a strike. Now this figures to be a huge pitch right here for Rhodes. And he shakes off Hannigan once. Now okays a sign and a 3-1 coming. Foul out of play. Nady tardy. And now a full count pitch upcoming. And Rhodes wanting to talk it over with Hannigan. Castro, the runner at third. At second, a tying run is Fontenot. And at first, it's Terrio. 2 are out, 3 balls, 2 strikes to Xavier Nady. Ball 4, and the Cubs are within a run. Now if you're Dusty Baker, boy, you talk about a tough decision. You have the hard-throwing right-hander Nick Massett waiting in the bullpen. A right-handed batter in Derek Lee coming up. We know Massett has been extremely inconsistent this year, particularly with his command. Lee in his career against Arthur Rhodes is 2 for 4, and both hits have been home runs. Tying run at third, go-ahead run at second. Ball 1.
He's having a hard time controlling his fastball. His ball is cutting so much on him tonight that he almost has to aim it out on the outer part of the plate in order to get it to the inner part of the plate. It's just coming right in there.
The 1-0 pitch to Lee. And an excuse me tapper back to Rhodes, and the inning is over. So Rhodes takes care of Derek Lee. The Cubs get a run. Aaron Harang still in line for a win, but the lead is down to 1. Mom Appreciation Day tomorrow. The first 10,000 moms in attendance at the Reds Cub game will receive a fashionable red scarf thanks to Cons. For tickets to the Mother's Day game tomorrow, call 513-381 Reds or go to Reds.com. We mentioned the Riverfront Club open to the public tomorrow as well. So you can enjoy a wonderful brunch over there and have a great time with Mom here at the ballpark tomorrow. Xavier Nady stays in and right. Mike Fontenot stays in at second. And it's Milan Caridad takes over on the mound now for the Cubs. Just called back from the minor leagues. John Grabo was sent out with an injury following his appearance in the game last night. Caridad began the year as a Cubs setup man. And now that job belongs to Carlos Zambrano. Hard hit ball. Castro can't handle it. That's his first error in the big leagues.
Ball was hit and scalded hard. A little bit of overspin just ate him right up.
Caridad, you may remember, on that Friday night when the Cubs were in the first weekend of the season, gave up the grand slam to Drew Stubbs. It proved to be a game winner for the Reds. They still like this young man very much. Lou Piniella was saying before the game today. He said, look, the season did not start off well for him. He said, but we very much believe when all is said and done, he'll be back in that setup role. See if the Reds can take advantage of the error by Castro to begin this inning. 1-1 to Brandon Phillips. Brandon's had a nice game tonight. I mean, all the way around. Yep. Really nice game. Lined out to center his first time up. Had an infield hit, stole a base, scored a run in the third. A double to left center in the fifth. And has been brilliant in the field. And those are the kind of games you're not going to get 2 hits every night. But you brought it up earlier, Chris. These are the kind of games that Brandon Phillips could have on a pretty regular basis.
You know, I think he's settling into the number 2 spot a little bit better. I mean, I think that when he was in the number 4 spot, despite what he would say about not trying to hit home runs, you naturally try. And he's a better hitter when he slashes the ball, hits it down the right field line.
Fouled that one away, sending the count to 2-2.
It was a nice night for Brandon Phillips, also like Johnny Gomes, who got off the schneid against Tom Gorzolani coming into this ball game. Phillips was only 2 for 17. That's a 118 batting average against Gorzolani, a lefty.
Runner goes and a pitch taken and no throw down to second base. Orlando Cabrera picks up his 4th steal. That's a big run out there at second base.
Had a nice lead, and Caridad kind of went to sleep on him right there. So much so that Giovanni Soto didn't even bother firing at the second.
3-2 now to Brandon Phillips. Well, you can see he was trying to hit it the other way. Now, granted, you were in, sort of protection mode anyway, with 2 strikes in the at-bat. We'll see at the minimum if he can't knock him in. If now batting in that number 2 spot in the order. If Phillips can advance Cabrera on to third base. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Phillips. Well, he had a good rip at that one and fouled it back.
You just see the better swing that Brandon has on a ball that's middle or middle in, as opposed to one that's on the outside corner. That was a stay alive swing, the one before. And that's what most hitters do. They foul off the good ones so they may get a mistake. Nobody hits a great pitch every time.
And a beautiful job by Phillips here. And he's going to reach safely. Second error of the inning. One by Castro, now one by Fontenot. But the bottom line is give it up to Brandon Phillips. He was just giving himself up to advance Cabrera on the third.
Well, it's automatic. This is what you need to do, especially if you're in the number 2 hole, because you're going to see this happen a fair amount, you hope. Caradon going where he wanted to. Brandon Phillips hustling hard to Bootzilla at second base.
Caradon's got to be wondering, what in the world did I do to make somebody mad around here? Get a couple of routine ground balls, easy plays. I mean, nothing difficult about either one of them. And Castro flubs his, and now Fontenot does the same, and that's all for Caradon. We're going to bring in a left-hander out of the bullpen, Sean Marshall, to face Joey Votto. We're back in a moment. Major league threat here with a 1-run lead in the 7th inning. Runners on the corners with nobody out. Sean Marshall having an outstanding year. 21 strikeouts for Marshall in his 16 innings. He fanned the side. His only inning of work here last night, including the man he faces now, Joey Votto.
This is probably a one-batter appearance for the left-hander Sean Marshall. They've got Carlos Zambrano warming up in the bullpen. There's Big Z.
1-0 the count on Joey Votto. Breaking ball away. Votto 1 for 3. Got the Reds off and running in the opening inning with a home run to straightaway center field off Tom Gorzolani. He has Cabrera at third, Phillips at first with nobody out. Reds in front, 3-2 in the 7th. Borderline pitch there.
Yeah, everything this guy throws cuts, very much like Arthur Rhodes. Doesn't have the fastball that Rhodes does, but that slider right there froze Votto, and it just kind of caught the plate. Even his fastball cuts away from lefties.
Started to chase that breaking ball and took it for ball 3. Three and one to count on Votto. Marshall the pause and a pitch. And there's ball 4.
Yeah, not giving in to him with a fastball.
Well, here comes Mr. Piniella once again. You said it, Chris. That would be the only batter that Marshall was going to face, and he walks Votto on a total of 5 pitches. Now, this is a kind of inning. I mean, we know Lou. We love Lou. And This is a kind of inning when you're a manager, and I don't care what team it is, Dusty feel the same way, where, you know, you're just sitting there and you're going, you got to be kidding me. We had a routine ground ball to short. We had a routine ground ball to second, and now a walk. And they're loaded with nobody out. My team just scored to get within a run.
You know what? It happens sometimes, and the Cubs this year have played decent defense, but the two errors that they've made tonight will put them among the league leaders as most errors by a team in the National League. On top of his game tonight. Right from the very first pitch he threw, outer corner, struck out the first three batters he faced. When he wanted to hit the outside corner, didn't matter, lefty, righty, he was on it tonight. 9 punch outs, he walked one, that was the last batter that he faced. 6 2/3 innings. And the Reds needed him tonight after getting shellacked last night 14-7. They needed a starting pitcher to go deep into the ball game. And they called on the big guy and he delivered.
So here we get a look at Carlos Zambrano.
Now, the thing about Zambrano here, you know, we've seen him so many times as a starter. But take a look at the number of innings that he's pitched and the number of strikeouts. He's got 11 strikeouts in 24 innings. That's 4.5 bases on balls per 9 innings. He's walking a lot of guys, what I'm saying. So you got bases loaded right here. So he's going to try to establish himself with a fastball on the very first pitch. Scott Rowland will be looking for a heater, and we'll see what happens.
Zambrano made 4 starts, a 1-2 record, a 6.29 ERA. Joined the Cubs bullpen on April the 22nd. The Cubs are 9-7 since they made the move, and they have won 3 of the 4 games in which he has appeared in relief. And again, to repeat something we brought up earlier, Lou Piniella went to Carlos Zambrano and asked him about making this move for the betterment of the team. Zambrano went along with it. But if you believe some of the stories you hear, Zambrano by the day has become more irritated with his situation and really doesn't like it. Now, we know how volatile Zambrano can be to begin with. Should he come into a game like this, bases loaded, nobody out, and start getting cuffed around a little bit, certainly be worth keeping an eye on Zambrano. But you got to give the young man a lot of credit. He went along with the program. He's been one of the better starting pitchers in the National League for a long time. There's ball 1 to Scott Rowland. There are a lot of guys in this league, and don't believe it for a second. You can get lip service from now till the end of time. There are a lot of guys that wouldn't do it.
What are his choices, though? Either go to the bullpen or what?
You think they're going to jerk him out of the rotation and release him? They would have found something else to do. They're not going to send a guy to the minor league.
No, of course not. But, I mean, if they don't schedule him to pitch in the rotation, he's got no choice.
Well, you're right about that. 1-1 to Scott Rowland. I mean, fouled away. But, I mean, look, you know, again, I mean, you make that point. I know what you're saying. But the point is, there have been regular position players that were asked to move from shortstop to second base to third, shortstop to center field. And, I mean, you know, not a chance, you know, for multiple reasons. So even though Zambrano doesn't like it,
you want him to embrace it. I think that's really what you're talking about. And so far he has. But there may be some undermining thoughts going on.
1-2 to Rowland. And it's off the outside corner, 2-2.
Well, his control has been better as a reliever. He's pitched 5 innings as a reliever, 4 games overall, and he's only walked 1. So they wanted to get him well. They wanted to get the pitching staff well, strengthen the bullpen, and that move has seemed to work.
Struck out Rowland. You know, the thing that's interesting about the Zambrano move is he had pitched 2 of his better games consecutively. He has only had 1 terrible game this year. That was on opening day when he gave up 8 runs in an inning and a third against Atlanta. So his ERA is a bit deceiving, much like Aaron Harang.
Yeah.
Harang had 2 bad starts back-to-back. Tonight's his 3rd good one in a row. And his opening day start was just mediocre.
Yeah, when you only have 24 innings, your earned run average is not the barometer to go by.
Well, now Johnny Gomes. And he's down a strike.
All right, he'll go up there hacking. That much we do know.
Well, what we know is the Reds need at least one more run. They have a one-run lead, but Cubs still have a couple of at-bats in both the 8th and 9th innings. A ball and a strike. And you brought up earlier, you fully expect to see Zambrano down the road back into rotation.
I just don't know when. I mean, somebody's got to pitch poorly enough in the rotation to get bumped.
Breaking ball fouled away by Gomes. That's Zambrano ahead now, 1-2. To the count on Gomes. Zambrano delivers. Count even. A couple of errors and a walk loaded him up with nobody out. Zambrano comes into fan rolling. And there's a base hit into right center field. That'll score a couple of runs and another huge hit by Johnny Gomes.
Now Johnny Gomes just decided to go with the pitch right there. The pitch is dead, and boy, he is a good low ball hitter. Centers the ball on the bat. Right center field gap, drives a couple in. Dusty likes it. And there's a couple of runs you're talking about.
We brought it up earlier back in the 3rd inning. Johnny Gomes with runners in scoring position has been money in the bank. That one knocked down by Lee. And the feed to Zambrano is in time to get the out.
No movement from third base there as Joey Votto held. The ball was hit very sharply to the third baseman. And it looked like if Derek Lee fields that ball, he was going to come to the plate. So that's why Votto stayed at third base. And even though the ball was bobbled, there wasn't enough time for him to react and go home. So base hit by Stubbs right here would drive a couple more in.
Reds lead 5-2 here in the 7th inning. Both the runs, unearned runs, charged to Caridad. And both of those runs were routine ground balls to the Cub middle infielders, Castro and Fontenot. In the air down the third base line. And Castro tried to go in there and get it. It is so odd to see Zambrano coming out of the bullpen, though, isn't it? After all these years. Talking about a guy in his major league career with 106 wins against just 70 losses. 1-2 to count on Stubbs. Breaking ball away. You know, we talked about giving Zambrano a little credit. I mean, you got to give the Cubs a little credit. They're doing for what's best for the team. And at the same time, they're not getting wrapped up in that whole thing, you know, because we're paying Zambrano, what, about $15, $17 million a year, that we have to keep him in the rotation. And again, make no mistake about that. There are a lot of teams out there that won't make a move like that because of the amount of money they're paying somebody.
Well, they spent so much money on players that have not panned out in the last decade that what's one more? I mean, they're going to try to do whatever they can to win ball games. I mean, Lou Piniella, I don't think he's worried about his long-term future as a manager. He wants to win this year. Who knows what his future is as a Cubs manager, whether he wants to come back or not.
Piniella's contract up at the end of this year. 3-2 now to Drew Stubbs.
I mean, it's a big deal nowadays when you take a guy like Zambrano and you put him in the bullpen for a while to get well. But back in the day, it was commonplace. Go down there and get your act together, and then we'll call you back up from the bullpen.
You're going to have to hurry to try and get Stubbs. Castro's throw, not going to be in time. 1-run scores, throw to the plate, and safe. Johnny Gomes on an infield hit. Scores all the way from second base. How about that? Well, you knew when it left the bat they were going to have a hard time getting Stubbs, but how about Gomes? Watch him all the way from second.
Speed is a wonderful thing. I mean, Castro gets to this ball quickly, gets rid of it as quickly as he can, but even a perfect throw is not going to get him. Now, that throw beats Johnny Gomes at the plate, but he must have beaten the tag. Now, Lou Piniella went out to argue with Jerry Lane, the home plate umpire, but before he got too argumentative out there, and that's a good call because he tagged him high and he slid low and got his feet in there. And I think he asked Giovanni Soto, did you get him? I think Soto must have replied to him, I'm not sure. So Lou didn't decide to argue vehemently, and the Reds have blown it wide open here with 4 big ones. Gift runs.
Well, you're not lying. The Reds have scored 4 runs in this inning and have only hit 1 ball out of the infield. Got to love the energy by Gomes. I mean, whether he's out or safe there, tough to tell. But his energy, guy loves playing the game.
I like his energy instead of speed.
Yeah, it's a good combination.
And your haircut that looks like that.
I may go that look once I get a little longer here. That'll be a while. Breaking ball low, 2-0. But, you look at this Reds team, and Chris, we've talked about this from time to time. There aren't a lot of high-energy guys on this club.
You're right.
It doesn't mean that they're not good players.
It doesn't mean they don't care.
That's right. But there are not a lot of guys that are the excitable sort that bring a lot of spirit and energy to the team. There's a flare in the short right. Fair ball. They're going to wave around Stubbs. He will easily score on the double by Hannigan. A 5-run 7th inning for the Reds.
Ryan Hannigan wants to get into the act. Of course, every run that is scored here on is unearned, but it doesn't matter. You continue to bury the Cubs with every one that crosses the plate. 5 of them in the inning.
Take a look at Johnny down there. Rooting for his teammates. And now Lance Nix up as a pinch hitter. Will bounce out to Ramirez. The Reds strike for 5. Johnny Gomes, a huge 2-run single in the inning. 8-2 Reds as they stand and cheer at Great American Ballpark. play of the game. Jay Bruce play of the night, Chris.
Well, you're not kidding about that. It was early in the game when it was very tight. How about that peg from deep right field on the money? Ryan Hannigan takes the other end of it, no problem, and they got out the runner at the plate. What a great job by Jay Bruce. Marlon Byrd out.
Cubs come to bat, top of the 8th inning, and after the 5-run bottom of the 7th, the Reds have an 8-2 lead. Lance Nix will stay in the game after pinch hitting a moment ago. He'll play left field. And taking over on the mound, right-hander Nick Massett.
16 games for Massett. Don't worry about the earned run average. Last couple of games have not been all that bad.
He was lights out in that extra inning win on Wednesday against the Mets. That one's taken outside.
Pitched 1 inning, struck out 2 in that inning. Struck out 3 in his previous outing. That was 2 days before against the Mets.
One and 0 to Marlon Byrd. The Reds are just looking for that consistency out of Massett. The same guy they saw all of last year. And he's fallen behind 3-0.
Not missing by much, but missing nonetheless. Cubs are looking for base runners. They're not going to swing until they get a strike.
And there it is. Three and 1 to Marlon Byrd. And he dumps one into shallow center field. It'll fall in a hit.
Better that than a walk.
3rd hit tonight for Marlon Byrd. Oh, what a year he's having.
It really is, too, because, you know, it's interesting. The Cubs, when they get on the road, their batting average is just deplorable. A team batting average of .220 on the road. When they bat at home in the friendly confines, they are the best hitting team in the league at a team average of nearly .300. And that guy has been consistent home and away. He's about the only one. Looks like Massett's what they call running away from the ball. And he's kind of pulling his body off towards first base. His head comes off the ball a little bit, and his arm is still in his arm slot. But because he's moving his body so much away from the ball's just not going where he wants to. So you can straighten your alignment out, but oftentimes you need to straighten your whole direction. You get your hips and your knee going in the right direction and keep your head straight. A little better that time.
Two and 1.
What you hope is that your head and body come right at the hitter right there. And that wasn't a bad one. I mean, a couple of them he's pulled off a little bit, but, you know, just not as consistent as you'd like to see.
Line into right field. Bruce able to get it. A nice leaping catch, and Byrd back to the bag. One away. Jay Bruce makes a lot of those plays look easy. We saw Fukudome earlier in the game trying to make a similar play, breaking back on a ball, and he couldn't get up and get it.
Well, you know, when you think about right field, you don't think defense. I mean, you think, first of all, that right fielder is going to be a guy that gives you plenty of pop at the plate. But you got one of the better defenders in the league with Bruce out there.
Soriano, 1 of 3. A single, struck out twice. There's a neat buckler right there. up, short right. Phillips can't get it. Bruce was thinking about the force out, and he overthrows the shortstop Cabrera. Well, Jay was thinking about that force play the whole time, and he went down to pick it up the first time and just whiffed on it.
Yeah, you know, had he picked it up the first time, maybe gloved it with his hand rather than try to barehand it, he would have been able to come up and got that guy at second base. What an effort by Brandon Phillips.
Well, neither ball hit very hard against Massett in this inning. The irony is the three batters so far, the hardest hit ball was by Ramirez, who made the out. Bird just dropped one into shallow center. Now Soriano barely beyond the reach of Phillips into right. And it's fouled away, strike one to Soto. But the bottom line is they're hits. Finals in the American League earlier today. The White Sox behind Jake Peavy, who goes to 2-2, stopped Toronto by a final count of 7-3 for the Blue Jays. That's the end of a 6-game winning streak. Baltimore beat Minnesota 7-3 in the first of a doubleheader. Twins leading the nightcap in a 7th, 3-1. Told you the Yankees blasted Boston again. 14-3 the final there, and Detroit beat Cleveland 6-4. Oakland over Tampa Bay 4-2. End of a 5-game winning streak for Tampa Bay. They were 13-1 on the road. Now 13-2. Infield fly rule here. There are 2 gone in the inning. On May the 22nd, Fox will bring you one of the world's greatest sporting events for the first time ever on network television. Experience the passion with the UEFA Champions League final. Munich battles Inter Milan live from Madrid on Saturday, May the 22nd at 2:30 in high definition, only on Fox.
Who you liking that one?
I have no idea. You?
I'll take Milan.
All right. I'll take the
other
was
team.
it Munich, the German team? I'll take them. We'll throw a little wager on that Clash of the Titans.
All right. How about a fully dressed out pizza from Newport Pizza Company?
Count me in.
All right.
Did you test that out last night?
Delicious.
It was good?
Yeah.
Is that over on the levee or somewhere around there? Nearby? I've been over to Newport in a while.
Pretty close to Levee, 8th and Monmouth. It's, despite
8th and Monmouth.
Yeah. Despite the company, had to eat with our producer, Brian Hunterman, and our pregame producer, Dreamweaver. But Jesse and I were able to gargle it down somehow.
2-0 to Castro. I'll have to get over there and check it out.
You will when you go pick up my pizza after that soccer match.
2-1 to Starlin Castro. And now 3-1. What is the date on that? May the 22nd. We are going to be, you know what? You and I will be able to watch that Clash of the Titans live. We're off that night in Cleveland.
Nice.
So,
2:30 p.m. Maybe we can get one of the suites up there at the ballpark.
There's a good chance of that happening. 3-1 to Castro. And a tapper over the mound. Brandon will handle it. Inning over. 2 hits, 2 left. Middle of the 8th. Reds lead the Cubs 8-2.
Second base. There it is. Safe again.
That's a shot I love right there. Base hit to center field by Orlando Cabrera. So back-to-back nights, Cabrera in the leadoff spot. 2 hits. Tonight has scored twice and has a stolen base. Cubs go to their bullpen. Zambrano out of the game. And they bring on Justin Bird. Caridad charged with 2 unearned runs. Marshall an earned run. And Zambrano in an inning, 3 hits, 2 runs. Brandon Phillips slides one into right center field. This will go to the wall. On his way to third and being held right there is Orlando Cabrera. Brandon Phillips with a 3-hit night, a couple of doubles, has stolen a base, scored 2 runs.
Well, that ball sounded so good coming off his bat. That pitch down, kind of middle of the plate, but down around the ankles. Brandon going down to get it. Another big hit night for the Reds. That is 14 of them now. Well, they have 16 last night?
Yep. Now Joey Votto. Well, here's where you can really pad not only the score, but you can really load up on that bubblegum card. Picking up RBIs here. Second and third, nobody out. Votto won't get a chance. They're going to intentionally walk him. Well, the only Red in the original starting lineup minus the pitcher without a hit tonight is Scott Rowland.
You think he doesn't know that?
By the way, the Cardinals were shut out tonight, 2-0, a final from Pittsburgh. Well, the Reds can pick up a game with a win here tonight in the Central. They can draw to within 3.5. Milwaukee blasting Arizona. That game's only in the 5th inning, and the Brewers already with an 11-2 lead. 1-1. The count on rolling. 2-1. San Diego behind John Garland downs Houston 2-1. The Mets back-to-back wins over the Giants 5-4. Nationals 5-4 winners over the Marlins. Atlanta 4-1 victors over Philadelphia. Later tonight, Colorado in LA. 2-2 to Roland. I think Manny Ramirez is due to come off the disabled list tonight for the Dodgers. Well, what did both he and Furcal that were injured here in the series against the Reds?
Yes.
Now, Furcal, it's going to be a little while. He's expected back, I think, next Monday. 2-2 to Roland. 3-2. Miguel Cairo stands in the on-deck circle. That is Nick Massett's spot, due up next. Rolling a fly ball into left center field will bring in a run. Tagging and scoring Cabrera. Everybody else stays put. So give Roland his 13th RBI, and the Reds now lead 9-2. Well, you can take the Reds with you on the road this year by subscribing to MLB.tv. Visit Reds.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere. Cairo to hit from Massett. Nick, a scoreless inning, gave up a couple of hits. Again, a reminder, will be coming your way on Fox Sports Ohio tomorrow. Reds Live gets underway at 12:30. First pitch at 1:10 on Mother's Day. And a very, very good pitching matchup on tap tomorrow. The one-time Red, Ryan Dempster, who's very much found a home in the Cubs starting rotation after being moved in from the bullpen. And Mike Leake, a rookie right-hander, a 2-0 start, and hoping to make it 3-0 by day's end mañana. 1-2 on Cairo. There you see the numbers. Both pitchers have been very, very good.
Both those guys very quick workers.
Gone swinging Cairo for the second out of the inning. Jay Bruce drops it foul out of play. Jay 1 of 4, had an infield hit in the first inning, has since struck out twice and grounded out to first. A low-scoring, tight game. I mean, hard to believe. You look at where we are right now, 9-2, and we were sitting 3-2 here about 40 minutes ago after the Cubs had scored that run, that one high and tight, and the umpire saying he got a piece of Bruce's uniform.
Jay's like,
you got to be kidding.
No, I want to hit. Do I have to?
And Jerry Lane says, yeah, you do. Hard to tell.
Well, Jerry was closer than we are. Lou must have said to Larry Rothschild, I'm not going out there again. You go out there. After every Reds game, Fox Sports Ohio breaks down the game and talks to the players and coaches on Reds Live, brought to you by King's Honda in the King's Auto Mall. Visit King'sHondaUSA.com.
You know, you brought up the name, and I look over in the press box to our left, and he is now working with Major League Baseball and, evaluating the umpires. Our very good friend through all these many years, Northern Kentucky native Randy Marsh.
What a great guy.
We got to get him on a pregame show.
And a good umpire, too. I'd love to get him on. In fact, what I'd love to get him on is some of that CBTS.
You ought to have him on the pregame tomorrow.
Do some, interpretation of rules, funny plays that you're really not sure how they should be scored, ruled. officiated. A wealth of knowledge.
He really is. And he has a lot of personality, so you know you'd have fun doing it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Why don't you go over to Ryle High School and, have Randy come over, send a limo over or something to pick him up, and bring him on in. 2-1 to count on Drew Stubbs. High roller like yourself.
Are you not using your limo tomorrow or what?
No. You can have it.
I would think on Mother's Day
or you can rent
yours occupied.
Yeah. Good chance of that. Very good looking Randy Marsh. I think it'd be great. I mean, I don't know if he's coming to the game tomorrow. He's got a lot of family here in the area, and maybe on Mother's Day, who knows? Maybe he gets a day off tomorrow.
He get a little nervous now. He sees himself on TV and said, all right, what did I do?
Wow. There's ball 4 to walk in a run. And the Reds tonight are the team to reach double digits. Now in front 10-2.
I don't think games like this bother Lou as much now as they used to bother him. We've seen some calls that were close that back in the day, Lou would pitch a fit, stomp up and down, throw his hat, maybe a nearby base. He doesn't get quite as excited anymore. Kind of like you.
Oh, no.
Mellowed out.
No. Trying.
Stick with me. I'll show you how to be mellow.
I know. You can. It's good. This booth has a lot of mellow in it, which is good.
That's Jesse
for
Jackson.
some of us who aren't. I mean, strict, mellow guy, laid back, loves fishing, hanging outside.
Mm-hmm. Watching golf on TV.
Playing golf, right? We remember this, right? Seeing Lou get excited. That was a game against the Cubs. That ball hammered into left center field, and Ryan Hannigan, a grand slam here in the bottom of the 8th inning. How about that? Hannigan matched his career high in runs batted in, 11 already this year with an RBI double in the 7th. And now a grand slam to cap off a 5 RBI night. How about that? First career grand slam for Ryan Hannigan.
He's had more runs batted in in a month and a couple of days than he had all last year.
Mm-hmm. Nick's getting his second at bat of the game.
Now, the Cubs last night had a couple of 4-run innings en route to that shellacking they gave the Reds last night, 14-7. The Reds have put up a 5 spot in the 7th and 6 of them here in the 8th.
Next a roller back to Berg, and that's that. The Reds get 5 in the 7th, 6 in the 8th. And the Cubs will come to bat in the 9th with the Reds in front 14-2. but twice. Phillips has been brilliant in the field. 3 hits, a single, a pair of doubles, has scored 3 runs, stolen a base at the plate. Been on base 4 times tonight. And the Reds lead 14-2. Multiple changes. Cairo is at third. Paul Janisch at short. And now taking over on the mound is Daniel Ray Herrera. Trying to just finish this one off. Facing Fontenot, Terrio, and Nady. Well, I beg your pardon. Terrio out of the game. Pitcher spot next, then Nady. Jeff Baker is moved to the on-deck circle. Base hit by Fontenot. A couple of lopsided games in this series. Cubs scoring 14 in a 7-run win last night. Reds scoring 14 with a 12-run lead in the ninth tonight. And another hit. That one by Baker off the bench.
Yeah, it looked like Daniel Ray Herrera had a chance to snag that ball, and then he kind of alligator armed it to pull it back, thinking that maybe the shortstop was going to be there in time to get that ball and turn it into a double play. See, he kind of gave the old T-Rex arm on that baby. You got to grab everything you can.
Two on with nobody out, and now Xavier Nady. Breaking ball in there, strike. Nady drew that bases loaded walk. Well, that seems like a different game ago. And it was only in the 7th inning. Nady came up as a pinch hitter against Arthur Rhodes, drew a bases loaded walk that made it a 3-2 game. Cubs still had him loaded. Rhodes fell behind ball 1 to Derek Lee. And then on the 1-0 pitch, Lee checked his swing, made contact with the ball, and hit a roller back to Rhodes, who threw him out to end the inning. It was a 3-2 game. Then the Reds got 5 in the bottom of the 7th, scoring 6 runs in the bottom of the 8th. Thus a 14-2 lead. Into left, and a diving play made by Lance Nix. Nicely done.
Well, that ball was hooking bad and hard, sinking big time, and Lance Nix makes a nice play. That's not an easy play.
Now Derek Lee. Lee 0 for 4 in the game. And that was indeed a huge out in this game. Really the biggest out of the night by Reds pitching was Rhodes retiring Lee with a 1-run lead to end that Chicago 7th inning. drive caught by Cairo. So back-to-back diving plays, one from Nick to left, and now Cairo at third. So now Marlon Byrd. Cubs down to their final out of the night. And this looks like it might do it. Votto to Giannis. And the Reds roll over the Cubbies tonight, scoring 11 of their 14 in their final 2 at-bats, including a 5 RBI night from Ryan Hannigan, who hits his first career grand slam. And another good outing, lost in all this, Chris Welsh, from Aaron Harang.
Oh, another great outing for Aaron Harang. That's what you need. You need your starters, especially the top of the rotation, clicking. It did tonight. Aaron Harang, boy, coming up with a big outing when he needed it, because I tell you what, for a while there, Tom Gorzelani was shutting down the Reds until the Reds came up with a big 11 runs in the last 2 innings of this game. But a whopping of the Cubs and the rubber game tomorrow.
We are back with more from Great American Ballpark. Reds celebrate a 14-2 win